In today's video, I'm going to show you how to do Sashiko stitching on the Janome CM17. Hi, I'm Jamieson-Hirst of Chatterbox Quilts. And first off, thanks so much to Janome Canada for allowing me to use the Janome CM17 to demo this feature on it to you today. So, Sashiko stitching, usually done by hand, initially started as a mending garment type of stitch, and since then it's become a very decorative stitch, usually done on indigo fabric with white thread, white Sashiko thread. Today I'm using it on a quilt sandwich, and I'm not using a white thread, I'm using a dark blue so you can see it better. But there are lots of different options for doing this on the Janome CM17 as far as the feet you can use. So let's start with that and talk about the different feet choices that you have. So traditionally you would normally, it does not sound great. Okay, normally you would do this with your regular foot, so your A foot. But you could also do it with the F foot, which is usually used for applique, or the F2, which is like the F foot, it just doesn't have that bar in the center, so it gives you really great visibility. But you can also use it with the AccuFeed Flex system on the Janome CM17. So that's what I'm going to be doing today, and I'm actually using one of the feet, the UD foot, because it's an open toe one, so you can see what I'm doing better. But there are other feet that come with the Janome CM17 for the AccuFeed Flex foot holder, and you could use those as well. You just need to activate the AccuFeed Flex system on your screen, and it will then ask you politely to use the AD foot, but you can use any of the AccuFeed Flex feet that come with the machine. Okay, so it's a straight stitch, right? I'm using a straight stitch needle plate. And there is something else that you need to use with this, and that is what we call invisible thread or a monofilament thread. So I like to use Superior Threads monofilament. It's called Monopoly. It comes in a dark smoke color or a clear color, which is what I have in the machine today. So you will, well, sort of see it. The idea is that you don't see those stitches. You'll see the Sashiko stitch, and then in between there's like a break, and that is where the invisible thread actually is, or in this case the Monopoly thread. And when you're using that type of thread, you want to use a top stitch needle. I'm using an 8011, I guess right now, yes, is what's in there. And that seems to be working quite well with this monofilament thread. If you're having issues with it, you might want to go up to a 9014. Okay, so I've got my machine all set up, ready to go, but you need to know where to find the Sashiko stitches on the Janome CM17. So let's talk about where those are next. Okay, so if you're at the home screen, you go into your sewing application mode, and then you're going to go into the quilt area, and you're going to go along using the arrows to the second screen where you're going to see Sashiko. So you click on Sashiko and you have three different options, three different stitches. They're similar, but just slightly different. So you have Sashiko 1, Sashiko 2, and Sashiko 3. Now, for any of these stitches, you can increase the length. I believe it goes up to 5, I think, is the highest that it will go as far as the length of the stitches. But something else you're going to need to do when you're doing Sashiko stitches is you've got your invisible thread up top, you've got regular thread in the bottom. Okay, I actually have a polyester thread in the bottom. I believe it's a 40 weight, and you want the machine to pull that thread up. It seems kind of counterintuitive, but you actually want to see your bobbin thread here. So to do that, I've got a couple things I'm doing. First off, I'm increasing my tension, okay? So the tension on here is set at 3.4. I'm going to take it up to 6, I think is what I used, and it seemed to work pretty well in my sample stitching. So it's always good to do a practice piece first because you'll need to make some adjustments on here to make sure you get the result you want. The second thing I did is I used the blue dot bobbin case. Okay, this is an optional accessory you can purchase. It puts less tension in the bobbin area, which is what we want for this stitch because we want to be able to pull it to the top. So using that blue dot bobbin case works really, really well for this stitch. All right, so I've got my machine set up, the right needle in, right needle plates, right threads, all of that. I'm going to take away my other feet that I'm not using and the other thread I'm not using. And let's see what it looks like when we work with the first Sashiko 1. Now, what I'm doing is I've increased that tension to 6, as I mentioned. I'm also going to increase the stitch length to 5, which is the longest it'll go. All right. I've got my AccuFeed Flex system in place. There's just an icon at the bottom of the screen that you push to do that. And I think I'm ready to go. All right, so let's see how we do here with Sashiko 1. Okay, I just locked off my stitches and cut my thread, and here we go. So you can see, or not see really, the invisible thread, which is exactly what we want. So it's brought that bobbin thread up. In between those spaces is where that invisible thread is. Okay, so you can see what a nice stitch that makes, right? It's gorgeous. And on the back, you will see the bobbin thread as it goes along here, right? So that's the look we're going for right there. We want to bring up that bobbin thread. We want to have those nice even spaces in between. Looks great, I think. So that's Sashiko 1. Let's move to the next one and see what it looks like. That's Sashiko 2, of course. I'm doing the same thing. I'm increasing my tension up to 6 because that worked really well for me. And I'm going to increase my stitch length to 5, so it's going to be the same length so we can compare the two stitches there. All right. So let's see how Sashiko 2 looks. Okay, I'm going to lock my stitches and cut my thread. All right, so this one isn't looking quite as the way I would like it. It's a different stitch. These stitches in the center area, or the ones you can actually see, are a little bit different. Looks okay on the back, but I'm not seeing quite as much of the bobbin thread as I would like to. So I just increase the tension. So I usually go up by like a millimeter. So I've gone up to 7, for example. All right, so I'm going to do another one, see what that looks like. See if that works better. Okay, that's getting a little bit better. So you can see that stitch. It's a different look for sure than the first one. Looking a little better than the second one, or the first iteration of Sashiko 2 that I did. So it's a little bit of a different stitch for sure. Gives you a different look, a little lighter look. All right, let's go to Sashiko 3. And again, we're going to increase our tension. Let's go back up to 6 and give it a shot at that. And okay, this one, as a default, is already set at a length of 5. So that's a little different than the other ones. Okay, I was thinking they were all at 3, but the last one was actually at 5. Okay, so let's try that. All right, so that's looking a little different than the first one as well, but it's definitely heavier than the second one. So that's looking really good, I think. So it's really fun to play with these kind of stitches. It's a lot quicker than sewing it by hand. It doesn't give exactly the same look, of course, but it gives a really interesting look. It's something you can add to your decorative stitches. This would also be really interesting to do as a quilting design, I think, on your projects too. So if you're interested in doing Sashiko stitching by machine, check out these options on the Janome CM17. You might be wondering if there are other stitches on the Janome CM17 where you use invisible thread in the top and you bring up that bobbin thread so it's visible. And yes, there are. So for more information about those stitches on this machine, check out this video, which will give you all the helpful information you need. And for more helpful quilting information, be sure to go to my website at www.chatterboxquilts.com.